Alrighty guys, let's end the week with 8.10 pyramids. Students will be able to apply the formula to find the volume of pyramids. Now this is similar to yesterday with the prism. So let's go ahead first copy the formula to find a pyramid. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3 big B times h. And just to reiterate, big B is the area of the base and h is the height or the altitude. Just want to throw in some other vocab. Same thing as saying height. Now, I like the word altitude because it makes you think of right angles and those kind of good stuff. Alrighty, first example, it says find a volume and round your answer to the nearest tenth. So again, I make these up just so that you can practice your rounding. So volume is equal to 1/3 big B times height. So this is the height of my pyramid, and then this is the base. So that's what I'm looking for. That's a rectangle. So this is actually 1/3 of length times width times height, right? Because I'm replacing that. Let's just substitute our numbers in. 1/3 times 4 times 10, and the height is 6. So let's go ahead and plug everything in your calculator. So go ahead, 1/3 times 4 times 10, and times that by 6, and we want to round it to the nearest tenth, but it's actually a whole number, which is 80. That's fine. Centimeters cubed, don't forget. Here we go. Make sure you get that answer. Second example, it's a lot happening here. So it says find a volume and round your answer to the nearest hundredths. Now when we look at this, you need to figure out what's the base. This guy right here. It's a triangle. So when I go ahead, volume is equal to 1/3 big B times h. I need to replace big B with a triangle, half base times height times the height. Now there's a lot going on with this formula, so be careful. This is the height of exactly, that's the height of the pyramid. Now this is the height for the triangle. So let's look at the triangle, right? So we go volume equals 1/3 times half. This is the base of the triangle, and this is the height for the triangle. So the base is 15.1, and then the height is 11.3, and then the height of the entire shape is 18. Now all from there, we plug in your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do this one in my calculator because I want to make sure I get the same answer. And there's a lot happening. So it's 1/3 times half times 15.1 times 11.3. And then I want to multiply all of that by 18. And we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to write what I got, which is already rounded for me, 511.89 centimeters cubed. Now this had a lot going on. There was a lot of numbers. Now be careful. This guy, I didn't even use it. It's just there for decorations, right? So be careful. Just like the previous example, we replaced the big B with length times width because it was a rectangle. Here, I replace it with half base times height because it was a triangle. Now this next question, it's a little complicated. It says find the volume of the pyramid rounded to the nearest tenth, right? When you start doing this question, you're going to look at the bottom. The base here, it's a square, so it will be 1/3, 20 times 20, but we need to find the height. We don't know what it is. And again, go back to what we did for a cone. Think of a slanted height. Now, the first thing you should be doing, which I did for you, is Pythagoras theorem. Now, where is this 10 coming from? Remember, if the entire thing is 20, and this right here is 10. and you're using Pythagorean theorem on this right triangle right here, and it works out that the height is 9.9 something, and we round it to the nearest tenth, and then you go ahead and substitute that into the volume formula. So if you can't see that piece in the bottom, the volume after you do all your substitution is 1,333.3 meters cubed. So these are pretty straightforward because one, you have all the formulas on the Regents reference sheet, and two, you just got to know how to be able to plug it in the calculator and round correctly. Alrighty, so make sure you have these 3 examples in your notebook. Let me know if you have any questions. Be super careful when you're given the slanted height versus the actual height of the shape you're working on. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just go ahead and practice some questions for me. Make sure they're rounded correctly. Make sure you show all the work, whether they're multiple choice or not, and then you submit them on Google Classroom. Have a great weekend, guys.